question was, did the perception of the Japanese change as far as the Americans were concerned after they started the kamikaze attack? Is that basically what it was?
The kamikazes were actually young children, young men in their early teens who were trained to fly an airplane, and they were actually, after just a few hours of flying, were put into a plane. They were sacking up, that's like the liquor or the drugs, and with a plane that had one torpedo and enough fuel for one way. And they actually were the ones that were singing just like rain onto the armadas. We had one out of Saipan and one in Okinawa. And they kept coming. And actually, the perception, we don't know. All other than the fact that, as I mentioned here, their motto was kill, kill, kill for the honor of the emperor. As far as our perception, I don't think that any of this got back to home, how serious it was. In fact, the media were, well, media today is terrible compared to, we had the movie tone, and a movie, they're the ones, that's all the news that used to get, I understand. But the kamikazes did a tremendous amount of damage. A lot of American lives were lost, and a lot of ships were lost and damaged. Yes, it was a very important thing to the Japanese, but it was almost like a last stand. But there was no conciliation there. We were as interested in getting rid of them as they were trying to get to us. On Saipan, we realized that we were, even though they had declared the island secure, the fact that the island was secure paper-wise, same way in Okinawa, they kept right on fighting right to the last man, and they were under the charge of killing all the Americans they could till the last death. And that's exactly what we were faced, and being taught, all children were being taught all through Japan. And that was what their training was, and they were ready to do just that.
Yes, gentleman up there.
When you went to Nagasaki, was there enough medical information available in regards to the effects of the bomb that you were cautioned in regards to your own health?
The question was, when he went into Nagasaki, did he have enough medical information to, as far as radiation goes, to protect the health of you and your comrades when you were going into that radioactive zone?
Well, we were concerned about the radioactive features, and the intelligent people were very anxious to find out what damage we had done. But we didn't go in until almost a couple weeks. But those couple of weeks, all of the things, the evaluation of the chemicals and the Medicare were talked about, but we had no help from any of the Japanese because it was just in awe. But I wanted to share it with you that the medical people, we never did know what their outcome was, but when we told that we could go in, then they said we need a few groups to go in and evaluate. It's like if the bomb had dropped on the Jordan River Temple, and all the whoosh of the blast, it was so severe and so hot that all the steel girders of the buildings were so hot that they just bent over. And all the buildings were lost. But around, it was like the Salt Lake Valley, all of the canyons, like Milk Creek and Parties and all of that, all of those were actually, didn't know what was going on up there. And they didn't have very good roads. In fact, it was almost all no paving at all. But this is when we went in and do the evaluations. But as far as the medical and we assumed that they said it was okay for us to go. But I honestly feel we were kind of like guinea pigs, going up in such a hurry to go up the into the canyons. The propaganda that they had told their people about how terrible the Marines were was horrible. When we landed there, of course it was scary for us to not know how we hear us. We're all aboard ship and we're landing now. Now, are we going to be invaders, or are we going to be treated as conquerors? And we didn't know which we were kind of how we're going to have to do the fighting. But anyway, as we went into toward Nagasaki, toward Amora, that was a little town, as we came in, it had been months since we had seen any women or even any children. And as we came in, the people were just terrified. The mothers, with their kids coming out to us, of course, as the way kids do. The mothers were so afraid that they'd heard all these terrible things, and they came up to us, when are the Marines coming? And of course, they'd been told all these things about, to be a Marine, you had to do this, this, and this. It was terrible. But the thing was, we hadn't been there, well, Marion down here in front hadn't been knowing where I was for 19 months. And we hadn't seen children in the normal atmosphere. And the thing that was so exciting about this is that the parents let us pick them up and hold them, and they just couldn't believe what we were, the fact that all the fellows were just so excited about seeing children